Should be sub number 9 is, why is Hamza Al Mustapha the best hope for Nigeria Gasdemup's candidate? This came with a link to YouTube. Let's check it out.
Why do you want to be the president of Nigeria?
We can deliver. We have much more to do, not showing personal interest compared to my brothers and sisters in the race. But I believe we have what it takes to change the country and to change the narratives.
All right. So if you're asked what's wrong with Nigeria, how do you give a small summary of what is wrong with Nigeria and why you are the right person?
Very good. A small summary goes this way. First is the dignifying your women. Second is empowering your youth. Third is taking care or managing the elders. And 4 is securing your country. And number 5 is joining the international community's mainstream destination in terms of the following 4 issues, as in respect of your own country and in relation with the entire world, so that your country will now be recognized. What are these 4 issues in this 5th point? They are your own internal security and global security. Second is relevance. Relevance in all ramifications, from international understanding, memorandum, and then from also international correspondences with your own country has been relevant. Third is the issue of diplomacy. And 4 is bringing your country to the fore, to know that your security, your economy, and social justice are restored. And number 6 point is restoring Nigeria's lost heritage. And then from that perspective, bringing the core value of Nigeria to the fore and managing it.
Correct. When you look at the top 4 candidates, what do they lack that you have?
With all sense of humility, I don't think there is comparison, and I will explain. But within the 4 that the media has occupied in bringing them to the fore, they are doing it because of the high patronage with the media. What we are doing is in phases. This particular phase I'm in is called personal secret consultation with all the organs of the country from the point of view of the general public. And I think we have concluded it. So by next week, we are going into the second phase. So we have faced it and culminating up to the election day. And that is the way we have faced out our own. We are not copying anybody. We are looking at the country from our own written and mental appreciation as to what to do with the time available. On the other hand, comparing us with the 4 who the media are actually bringing to the fore as the best in their eyes. When we kickstart, I'm sure the difference will set in. You will begin to see the yardstick with which they have identified the 4 coming more to us. In terms of capacity, ability, dependability, reliability, in terms of exemplariness, in terms of conduct, in terms of promises, in terms of prowess in leadership, in terms of genuineness, in terms of capacity to display, and then the guts, the capacity and the bravery with which to take tough decisions for and on behalf of 200 million people plus. I don't think there's any comparison, my dear brother. I know what we have done yesterday when Nigeria was facing the worst threats ever. I know with our resources, the much we have done in restoring Nigeria so that Nigerian populace had nothing to feel other than few people who attacked the system, calling it bad name us at that time. So I know what we did out of no resources that was inherited. And then with the new innovative policies that came and helped the masses. In fact, it helped numerous other African countries from those simple policies we have. Yeah, we shall be seen to be coming back home to invest and take from what we are or what we have in our package that will restore Nigeria's respect, dignity at home and abroad, and then will now be seen to with the innovations we have that is waiting for Nigerians to take, should we be voted in to come 2023, Nigerians will be very, very proud of us and will be very proud of their country.
So you will be okay if you are president and some military officers decided to overthrow the government. It's okay for you because they are following orders. Is that right?
No, I think I think you're getting it wrong. If a group of military officers come together and remove a government, then any other person that comes to take them, they are already a constituted authority of that country. That's all I'm talking about. If I were to be part of the coup from conception to its own stages of execution, then I'm part and parcel of that. I remember, as at that time, what was Mustapha's strength? Had I even a battalion under me? No.
Okay. Now you've defended Abacha several places in several interviews. You said you had no regrets working for Sani Abacha.
Correct.
What do you think about this? All the accusations against him that his government was brutal, killed a lot of people. Do you think they are all made up?
Well, I cannot say that. Reason being that I was a CSO, the definition of my primary and secondary responsibilities were well defined, and this I'm sure are known to Nigerians. Protecting the president, his family, and the seat of government, this was under my care. And I protected that, and nothing happened during the tenure of my own office. So to say that I am the one to account for the police, for other security agencies in the country, for the army, for the navy, for air force, I think it's wrong. That we have had service chiefs, we have had IG of police, we have had Joint Intelligence Bureau of Nigeria, we have had National Security Advisor, we have had heads of paramilitary, each and every one of them. We have had the Minister of Defense, the staff of Minister of Defense, and the Minister of Defense of that time. So all these are different from my primary schedules. And that's why we said, even when General Abacha came to power, I did one thing that wasn't there. I restructured the security department that I headed. And as a result of that, to display honesty and transparency, all other security agencies, including paramilitary, for the first time in the history of Nigeria, I worked it out in such a way that they all had representation in the seat of government, meaning in the presidency. So whatever was happening in the presidency, all other security agencies in Nigeria were aware of. It never happened before. I introduced it to this country. I don't know if they are still practicing it now, but that is the way it is supposed to be.
Every now and then money comes into the country. They return money from other foreign countries. And they said that this money was Abacha loot. I know that you've gone out there defending Abacha, saying that Abacha was never in most of these countries where they said this money, they got this money from. And how could they now say that this was his money? Do you stand by that?
Yes, my brother. See, I spoke on what I knew. So the question of if you say you are defending Abacha, it shows I'm defending him rightly or wrongly, whichever way. I spoke on what I knew and what I saw. What I talked about was on the issue of sanctions imposed on Nigeria. And it was Nigerians who invited sanctions against Nigeria, particularly one particular former president of this country sneaked into one bigger country. And I still have a document that he tendered, pretending Nigeria to be in a certain gloomy situation and seeking for enforcement of sanctions so that when Nigerians feel the pains, they will support him to uproot Abacha out of our quote and unquote. It's in that document.
What happened to Abacha? How did he die?
The two were killed, and Nigerians are aware I said so.
Killed by governments or by external people? Who killed them?
Well, if you can tolerate me to get there, let that be. But I will not enjoy the court. I explained carefully at that material time. I said the pattern of death for the two political actors in Nigeria or political giants were similar and the same. They died gasping for air. They died with their hearts swollen, and so their chest was heavily swollen, and that is how both of them were buried.
High Court sacked you as a candidate of the party. What happened?
Well, there was a small friction within the leadership of the party even before I joined. But I joined and met a chairman of the party, and then the other faction actually were the ones that took the matter to court. And then there is a game that I thank God has been uncovered with connivance of people from INEC. And then that has come to the fore because we have already written the court, and then the other faction of the party that took the matter to the court. So processes or procedure were not followed, but there are games in it that is there in trying to kill my candidature. But I understand what they have done in the court on Friday is beyond the party puzzle. That is a minor issue for us to, for the party to sort itself. There are some interested parties in Nigeria who believe that our candidature is a threat to them. And the way we are, believing that Nigeria ought not to be where it is. Nigeria and Nigerians have been cheated. I cannot waver on that. I cannot waver on Nigeria's welfare and well-being. We are dogmatic when it comes to Nigeria's safety and well-being and Nigerians wherever they are. That standing and these speeches I have given time and time again informed the games that came to the court on Friday. But hold on and see. From Monday, letters were already written to the chairman of INEC, to the chief judge in Abuja, and then parties were also written to regarding the game that came up. And I thank God already there is a press conference by the party. There are numerous reactions to our supporters across and outside Nigeria to know that it's a game and it has nothing to do with law.
Yes, indeed. Let me mix it up a little bit here for obvious reasons. Bwana Agaziki, tell us a little bit about this Hamza Al Mustapha in your eyesight.
I have some concerns about this brother, and because I have some concerns about who his company is. I mean, sometimes you are tasked with the company that you keep, and Sani Abacha stole he is said to have stole like 2.2 billion. You know what I mean? And Nigeria just was able to get 23 million back from the US. So I have a little bit of concerns about him, and the fact that obviously he's an Islamic dude. That made it. I don't know, man. I have some, because he's talking good, like all the presidents have in the past, but I have some concerns, some big time concerns. And I don't know if he would be the best person. And I can't, like I say, I am not an authority on Nigerian politics. I think that Gas could speak to this particular gentleman much better than I could, but I have some concerns, from an Islamic point of view and from the point of view of the company this brother kept, in the past. So, and I feel like sometimes a leopard don't really change his spots. Maybe Gas may have some bring us some enlightenment on this particular gentleman, but for me, I kind of have some concerns. But I'll stop there and listen to what Gas has to say.
Untouchable, before you go, if Hamza was Christian,
Yes,
would you have the same concerns?
I have a problem with all fundamentalists. The other day, if you, I think he was there. I had a conversation with a Rastafarian fundamentalist,
Oh yeah,
and
I meant
when you
that's
dealing
what.
with fundamental, yeah, when you dealing with fundamentalists, they only see things in terms of black and white. I mean, they take a whole lot of reason out of the picture, and they believe in faith and these high-minded things, and they don't really bring it down to the earth. So I have problems with any fundamentalist, whether you are a Christian fundamentalist like George Bush, or what's the other guy name? A lot of U.S. presidents, or a Muslim fundamentalist, or like this brother here. Any guy. I have an issue with them, but I'll stop there, man. Even if he was a Christian fundamentalist, I would
Okay.
have issues with him.
Okay. By the way, are you interested in having that debate with I Can Fight?
I can't. I can't because he takes an emotive approach to things like religion. His religion is Rastafarianism. So listen to his conversation, everything he says. So even if I was to show him factual things historically in terms of Haile Selassie, he cussed me out. You know what I mean? He can't handle that kind of conversation. The brothers them he can't level the discussion down to reason and down to facts. He see it completely from a fundamentalist view, which is a faith-based one, and the conversation wouldn't be a fruitful one, I don't think. You know, I try not to get in conversation with like no fundamental, none.
Yeah, I've heard him on several platforms, and I like his passion, but I'm not a fan of his kind of inappropriateness sometimes. But if you guys were serious about having that conversation, like I said that day in the chat, I would host it.
Reason what a fun.
I agree.
Oh, I would if he have a conversation where he ain't taking it to where it's an emotional based and passionate discussion where he cussing me out for dissing his king. You know what I mean? We could have that kind of discussion, but if it go towards where we having this faith-based fundamentalist, would you believe? I can't have that kind of conversation. I just charge it to the game. He's my brother. It's all love, and I'll leave it there.
By the way, Bakari had to drop off earlier, but remember to check out his Black Business Challenge on Sunday around 3 p.m. on Sundays. He does the Mind My Black Business segment of the Brother Bakari podcast. You guys should tune into that. It's usually a good time. Observing Immigrants. Were you familiar with Al Mustapha?
No, I've never heard of him.
From what you saw in that video with Al Mustapha, what are your thoughts?
Very short. I will say that politicians will always be politicians, and proof of the pudding is in the eating. So, politicians make lots of promises before they get in there, but once they get in there, then you see, who they are. So no matter who it is, politicians have to prove themselves. So
I appreciate that. So last but not least, man, is an Isoko man who doesn't claim this nation per se. Gasdemup, what are your thoughts on Hamza Al Mustapha? Tell us a little bit about your familiarity with him and your thoughts on him as the best hope for Nigeria.
Yeah, I just want to put it out for the record. He's not my candidate. I don't have a candidate. So the title putting Gasdemup's candidate is not.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but no. Look, listen. They're all criminals, right? Unfortunately, you have to choose the person who's not gonna stab you the deepest. Unfortunately, and from compared to what's on the playing field. So you got Peter Obi, you got Tinubu, and you got Atiku. So those are the people running, and you have Shora. So the whole point is that out of all of them, the one person who's going to, for the most part, maintain Nigeria's security, that will maintain a certain level of operational standards, will be, in my opinion, Mustafa. But the truth of the matter is this: Africa has a lot of internal sellouts. If I was in Nigeria right now trying to fix the country, they'd have me on the news in a heartbeat. The way the media destroys black male images, they do the same to me, because I'd kick out all the white girls, I'd kick out all the NGOs, especially the white girls. They're CIA devils. I'd kick out a lot of people. The oil companies wouldn't even be in there unless they're using clean oil practices. So I'd make it very difficult for them. You're not going to just, the police are not just going to beat up and attack citizens. You got to do your job. So it'd be a very different country, and I'm telling you, the people there would be the first ones to sell me out. They'd be angry because they're used to running around with impunity. So, and if I'm strong enough to stop them, then they're going to start partnering with their white boy friends in America, putting me on CNN and say, "Oh, Gasdemup is a dictator." They'll get some Nigerian girl who's friends with Marcus Garvey. She'll be on TV. Marcus Garvey will be next to her with the box of Kleenex. And Gasdemup, he touched me in the bedroom. And they'll cry, and then they'll send the Marines. Then they'll send their white boy Marines to come get me. But this is what they'll do, because they're not going to allow, unless you play ball, they're not going to allow you to run your country as you see fit. I think it's Maurice Bishop, Sankara. These are examples of this. When you don't play ball, they get rid of you. Either they just come through guns blazing, or like I say, they find a way. When they were Hillary, we came, we bombed, and he conquered or something. You heard what she said. She said it clear as day. She didn't care. There was no feminine touch, like, oh, I'm a woman. Perfect. She didn't care. And then remember what they were saying? They said they were giving Gaddafi. They lied. They were like, oh, Gaddafi is giving his soldiers Viagra so he could rape the women. What the hell? What?
Yeah.
And that turned out to be a lie. So they do this, but again, they cannot do this without internal sellouts and coups. And Nigeria has a whole bunch of them. Because like I said, if you want an African state or a strong Caribbean state, it means your wife and your side chick ain't gonna get luxury. Not many African and Caribbean men are ready for that, because their wife and their side chick got to get luxury. She got to have the La Perla underwear on. He needs the Mercedes Benz and his little Swede hideaway where he can put some money and sleep with a little Swedish girl with a booty. This is the reality of what we're dealing with here. If we want to fix Africa, we got to be prepared that we got to be ready to throw away any type of luxurious consumption and just build from the ground up. Build. Be strong and eat what we grow. That means I don't want your wheat. I don't want your corn. We have our own grains in Africa that we can eat. But if you tell an African to eat the ground, now you can, I want jollof rice. Well, jollof rice isn't our traditional food. Throw that in the trash can, man. Let's eat what we got. Oh, no. Get him out of here. I can't have jollof rice. Can't have a side chick. The side chicks complain, I can't have Brazilian hair down to my ankles. It's a problem. They're going to get rid of the Gasdemup. So, I'm being silly, but I'm just saying these are the real trade-offs that nobody really pays attention to. So,
Gas, this guy seems like he want to take us back to the caliphate, though. You know what I mean? There's a lot of Christians in the country. I don't want to.
Yeah, but Nigeria. The truth of the matter is, Nigeria is going to become a Muslim country in the next 20 years, because all the people from the south, where the Christians stay, they're all trying to leave the country. They've been trying to leave the country since the IMF structural adjustment programs in the 80s. Nigerians weren't leaving the country en masse back then. It was after the IMF structural adjustment programs. And it was mostly the southern Nigerians. The northern Nigerians aren't leaving. So the more that the southern Nigerians continue to run away and escape, the country is becoming predominantly Muslim. It's going to happen unless the Christians come back. And, I don't think he's going to take anybody to a caliphate. No, that's not going to, he's not going to do that for the most part. But I'm not a fan of him or any. They're all playing the game. But what I'm saying is, at least he's been vocal and exposed the game. For example, about Boko Haram, about the herdsmen, and the destabilizing of the Nigerian state. I mean, since the 2000s, the CIA has been producing report after report that Nigeria is going to break up by 2020, 2030, 2050. They've been producing report after report about this breakup, this Nigerian breakup. And he exposed it. He said, look, it's all about minerals. So northern Nigeria has a lot of lithium. Tesla, French companies, by the way, right? You know, so the NGOs are in northern Nigeria, all these white girls, CIA agents. They're there, oh, feed the African child. I love them. That's a lie. You know, so he's at least saying what's going on. He talks about the dirty oil politics. So again, I'm not saying he's perfect or he's going to be, but I can respect the person who exposes it, because none of the other candidates are exposing anything, because they're all bought and paid for. So their whole game is, look, I'm just get there, steal money, hide it in my foreign account. My wife, my side chick are good. My friends are good. The rest of you can die. Now, I'm not saying he's not going to do the same, but at least he's exposed where the real criminals are. So look at the minerals. So now anybody you can Google minerals that Nigeria has, natural minerals. Forget about oil. Start seeing the minerals that are in northern Nigeria. You know, there were 2 or 3 Chinese nationals that were kicked out of the country for illegally mining gold in northern Nigeria. So of course they want to destabilize Nigeria, because once that happens, now anybody, you know, literally it can turn into the second DRC. That's what it can turn into, and they want that. That's exactly what they want. And you know, so look, listen, that's why I'm hard on the Nigerians, because all they know how to do is you know, eat jollof rice and dance to crackhead music called Afro beats. That's all they want to do. They're not facing the reality of what it is. So, you know.
I just, for me, I just have the issue I have is, and I don't know what your thoughts is on Obasanjo or Sani Abacha, but these with Peter Obi, that's Obasanjo's guy. Okay, you probably would know better than I do. And Mustafa is Abacha's guy, right? So I just have a problem with the company these guys keep, because for me,
well, Abacha didn't steal anything. Like, I really want you to take your time and Google it. Remember, Abacha came in after IBB destroyed Nigeria with the structural adjustment programs. Abacha said, we're not taking any IMF loans. Right? He was trying his best. Just look at this. He was trying his best to fix Nigeria. He never left the country. He only traveled outside of Nigeria once. So in order for me to steal money and put it in an account, right, the banks have biometrics. They have to take my fingerprints. They have to take scans. They have to do like the eye thing. He never left the country. So how was he able to transfer the money and put it in those banks? Now, they say his sons. Now, I won't say that his son stole. I'm sure his son stole money. But the amount that they're saying that was stolen doesn't make sense. 1 minute is 2 billion. 1 minute is 5 billion. 1 minute is 7 billion. Right. These people are all making up stories because Abacha refused to take the IMF loan package. He stopped that. Okay. And you had Ken Saro-Wiwa, may he rest in peace. But dude, what was he doing? You know, who was he working for?
Well, I don't care.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I don't give a damn. I can't zero here, to be honest with you. But I would say.
Well, I wouldn't say that. The guy got killed. But what I'm saying is, Wally Soyinka, he was out there, planning a coup. You're a Nobel laureate prize winner. How the hell? What Illuminati are you a part of that you got the juice to start planning a coup? And all of a sudden, they didn't plan a coup during the time of Babangida, who actually implemented the structural adjustment programs that decimated the Nigerian middle class. No one planned a coup then, but the one guy who said, "Nah, we're going to put a stop to it," he was the one who stopped the Sierra Leone civil war. He kept Sierra Leone alive. Sierra Leoneans need to thank heavens for Abacha. And guess who was training the soldiers for the Sierra Leone and Liberia Civil War? Gaddafi's regime. Mm-hmm. Gaddafi. Google it. That's where they were getting trained. That's where Charles Taylor went to get trained, in Gaddafi's Libya. So I'm just saying that, this stuff gets deep. It gets into dirty oil politics. It's handshakes and different signs with the eye in the middle and woo 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 stuff going on. It gets real deep. So all of them have their hands dirty.
Sure.
But I can respect the man who exposes some of the dirt. That's all I'm saying.
It's interesting. What is interesting to me is people on the ground like yourself, because depending on who you're speaking to, because I have Nigerian brothers and sisters just like you too. I include you in that. But based on who you talk to, Sani Abacha is not a bad. He wasn't a bad president. And based on who you talking to, Obasanjo wasn't a bad president either. That's interesting. And like it's the same when I talk to people from Haiti, because based on who you talk to, Papa Dr. Valier was not a bad prime minister. So when you are on the ground in terms of what you experience and the difference from what the world media says, it is a contrast. So like I say, I'd accept whatever your candidate that your perspective is, because you are politically astute. So whatever your vision is or whatever your ideas is, even though you really want to break away from even modernization, I would have to accept what your idea for a good Nigeria is supposed to be based on this particular individual, and I'll watch him. I'll watch him and watch what he does. But I have to go to people on the ground. You all know better than so-called global media and what they say, because I know Western media is always going to have a particular bend or view on African leaders and leadership. But when you speak to people who are actually from these places, they have there's a big contrast in how they see these men, because I've always been told in particular, and even if you read Wikipedia or even look at YouTube, that Asani Abacha was a criminal and he stole a lot from the Nigerian government. But if you talk to people from Nigeria, the conversation is very different. So like I say, I'll have to accept what the people who are from there, what they would say about
No, not at all. Don't accept it. No, do your research. Don't do that. No, I want you to do your research. I'm just saying that, for me, I'm not deceived to think that there's one person that's good or bad. They're all criminals. But I'm not a believer. And like I said, the narrative plays out, because the minute you stand up and say, I'm not taking these loans, think about it like this. He stole all this money. It's pretty much the equivalent when they told us Dave Chappelle was in South Africa taking cocaine and crack, smoking coke and crack, right? So it's like, really? So he left America, where the best crack is, to go to South Africa?
It's ridiculous. So
but we all believed it. Why? Because he made so much money with his show, they didn't want to pay him the 50% of I think Cat Williams was saying that of the $500 million they owed him. So they said, you made too much money, we're going to give you 10%. And he said, hell no, I'm going to tell my fans. They said, oh, by the time we're done with you, your fans, they said, by the time you get home, your fans will believe that you are, a crackhead. Yeah. And as soon as he got home, everybody said he was a drug addict. It's the power of the media. So I'm very careful whenever white people tell me who to celebrate and who to not celebrate. When they tell me to celebrate Obama, I'm very careful.
Understood. I understand that. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. So, like I say, it based on the conversations that you have with people who are actually from these places, the conversation becomes very different. Because even with Idi Amin, the Western world considers Idi Amin as a brute. But when you hear from people from Uganda, the conversation becomes very, very different. So, and I've experienced that with even in my own prime minister, because our prime minister, one of the founding fathers of my country, they consider him to be a drug baron. It's not to say that some of it ain't true. It's just to say that he has done some good things for his people and some bad things for his people. But it's very difficult to sort that out when you're dealing with the international media, because they have their own personal interests. So they're gonna skew the picture of the leadership in the whatever direction that they would want it to be. So I understand where you're coming from with that. I do.
Funny enough, a couple of weeks ago, I was in this cab driver's car, a guy from Burkina, and I was telling him how I look up to, I admire Thomas Sankara, and that guy went off on Sankara, man. So it was a sobering experience.
What did he say?
The typical type stuff. He stole land. He didn't feed his people, etc. Of course.
But you see, Koku, this is the problem, right? And he probably is right from that perspective because Sankara had to structure things in a way, but
Yes.
the elite on the ground are not happy. So
Yes.
quite often, these are the people who their uncles, their mothers, their fathers, they're thieves. I'm not saying him personally, but they're in power. They get access. They got privileges. And so when a person like Gas comes down on the ground and says, "Yo, we're not doing that no more. We're gonna make this thing work for the people. That land that you was using to just do nonsense, no, we're gonna have it as a farm." They
Yes.
they become what is it dang, I forgot the word. It's late, but they're upset with you. Yeah, disgruntled. Yeah, they're like disgruntled, and so now it's like the people who moved out of Castro's Cuba, right? So I was watching a video where this guy, the economist Claude Anderson, he's like, "And socialism doesn't work. I went to Cuba." Blah blah blah. It's like, old man, I respect you, but just shut up. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. You forget that Cuba has been living under all these sanctions. You can't even do business with Cuba if America likes you. America will tell you flat out, if you do business with Cuba, all them contracts is over. You get what I'm saying? So Cuba's been isolated purposely. Imagine if you take away the sanctions, Cuba would be the best place to live in this whole entire region. But they don't want that. So those people who ran to Miami, oh, I don't like Castro. Castro was a dictator. Blah blah blah. No, because your mother and dad were freaking thieves, stealing the stuff, and stop being a thief. Share some wealth. No, but you guys are criminals. When John F. Kennedy was exploiting the land and they were running there sleeping with the Cuban women, blowing their backs out and treating Cuba like a piss stop, it was all fine because your parents were a part of the clique, handshake, Illuminati. But when somebody comes and says, "Yo, I don't want that no more," now it's a problem. And so, of course, that cab driver most likely is amongst those people. And this is what you got to deal with on the continent.
Yep. Gas, you want to shout out anything? You guys have a show this week?
Yeah, I because Tan traveled and Jose traveled, so it's kind of not fair to do the show with them, and
Right.
They got to stay up late. So yeah, we're doing a show this week. We'll be looking at human sacrifice again. We'll be looking at sacrifice, but comparing it with some interesting things. More on the occult side this week. So they'll be back. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I saw Trigger Happy over there in the chat. I think the last time you guys had a show, I saw KW Dawn 7, Bobby Wright. So it's cool to see the connectivity, With that said, observing immigrants, you want to shout anything out?
Just continue doing the good job on the show and your whole podcast programs.
Thank you for that. Yeah, looking for 2023 to be a ramp up. Yeah, we got to add a 0 to these views to all the people who are around here. Let's add a 0 to the end of their typical numbers. Views on their videos, or add a 0 to the live stream numbers. We got to get it up much higher than it is or has been. Bana Zeke, you want to shout anything out?
No, just shout out to my good sister from Barbados, is urban immigrant, and bringing a different nuance to the discussion in terms of that female aspect. She's the only one for tonight. Usually it's Tan. And shout out to Gas. He is what I consider. He is the Morpheus. He's the matrix breaker in terms of the black pentagrammers and trying to not trying to, but really convincing us to look at the world from different lenses. So I appreciate that kind of information. And for us as well, who trying to our best to inform the people as much as we can. So I think that shout out to us and shout out to what we're doing and going forward to 2023. You know, let's keep the fire burning. That's what he say.
Yes, sir. Shout out to everyone who was here tonight in the chat. You know who you are. Shout out to all the KWAZ radio fam who was here tonight. Shout out to you guys who couldn't make it or Zuliism wasn't here tonight. I thought I saw Real Black Gentleman in the chat early on. Jose from the Black Panther Grammars. I think I saw him early in the chat as well. Shout out to Tanzan who's traveling, Oni, Considerate Cheek, and all of you. I appreciate everyone. I'm going to try this week Wednesday to have that Black Panther 2 discussion, Wakanda Forever discussion with Uzuli.
I ain't watched that yet, you know. It was good.
Oh, you don't watch that? It's on the sites now, by the way.
Okay.
I have problems with it. I have major problems with it.
Koku, we never did the roundup with the men and the women.
Yeah, I one night on Shoot the Breeze, I put it out there. You know how many of you want to do this roundup, and it seemed like no one responded to that question. You two guys were involved. Are you guys still interested, excited about doing the roundup with the men and the women?
Yeah, I wanted to hear what the women have to say.
Yeah, we taking their lead, man. Whenever you organize it, we could be there. You know what I mean? So we gotta organize it. We'll be there. All right. So I guess when the people come back, come back, you know.
Yeah, Tana's not in town, etc. So I'll reach out to everyone. The matron was involved. She was in the chat early tonight. I'll reach out to everyone this week. Like I said, I'm going to try to do the review of Wakanda Forever this week. So if you guys have the chance, it's on the Fire Stick. Let's keep it real. It's on the.
Yeah, I go watch it on the internet.
yeah, it's on the internet. You know, so just take a watch and come through. Yeah, it'd be nice to have a woman's perspective on the Black Panther film. So if any ladies are out there, take a watch. And like I said, it's on the internet. Take a watch and come join us. We're going to do a live stream on it. And in the new year, I'm going to start doing another show again in the week sometime. It might be pre-recorded. I'm not sure yet. Afro Native World put me on to an African woman who has an African-centered curriculum, and she's doing an exchange. If you teach, then your kids can go to the program for free, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to reach out to her tomorrow and try to do an interview. I think I want to do more interviews during the week and whatnot. So
yes, and one last thing. Trigger Happy 242 plus for the new year, brother or sister. I don't know if you're brother or sister.
Brother.
You gotta come on, bro. Yeah, we ain't gonna read no more of your stuff unless you come on for the new year, bro. So you gotta make up your mind and come on so we could have a discussion.
Yeah, I second. I think a lot of you folks in the chat, you know, there's the link, man. Especially in the second half of the show, more, you know, could hop on and give your thoughts. Bobby Wright, Afro Native World, and others, you know what I mean? So with that said, man, we'll be back here next week for Shoot the Breeze. Thanks again for being here. You guys be good. Make sure to check out KWAZ Radio, YouTube channel, website, subscribe to the newsletter. Check out, I want to promote it more in the new year, but check out the Shoot the Breeze clips site. I want to start clipping up more of these longer Shoot the Breeze episodes into their component parts, into their prompts, and just put them up there as a free fall. So check that out as well. All right, guys, you guys be good. I'll see you during the week on all the other shows. I'll see you next week for Shoot the Breeze. Peace.
All right, peace.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Koku. If you like what you just heard, we hope you pass along our web address, bittermedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Bitter Medicine Show, Twitter, Bitter Meds, Tumblr, Bitter Meds, Instagram, Bitter Medicine.